But now it is time to get into my favorite segment. I got the shirt back on. We're ready to roll this week in Shohei Ohtani news presented by Mattress Firm. So talk to an expert and unjunk your sleep today. I promise you, you will not regret it if you make the switch. But let's get into it. This week in Shohei Ohtani news, I'm going to talk about why he's not hitting as many bombs. I'm going to talk about his dominant outing on the mound this week, and I'm going to talk about an honor he got that is very, very special. So let's get into it, and let's start with that outing he had on the mound against the Oakland A's. He's back. He took a little bit of time off. I was getting a little worried that we wouldn't see him pitch again this year. To be honest, I was really worried we wouldn't see him back on the mound this year. But he came back, and you know what I thought at first? I thought we probably won't see him throw very long. He's probably not going to be able to throw many pitches. He went out there, and he dominated for 8 innings, 108 pitches, 8 innings pitched, 10 strikeouts. What an outing. You know, I was locked in on this game. Obviously, I was watching him pitch. I was locked in, and the 8th inning comes around, and he gets into some trouble. And this is where I thought for sure he was going to get pulled. He gets into trouble. He hits a guy, the bases are loaded. I thought for sure Joe Madden was coming out and pulling him. But you know what? It didn't happen. He trusted his guy. He let him stay out there. And Shohei threw the nastiest splitter to strike out the guy to get out of the bases loaded jam in the 8th inning that I have seen him throw in a long time. We've talked about that splitter. It is the best pitch in baseball this year, and it has been since he came into the league. Nobody hits it, and that one was disgusting. So what a great outing. It was really cool to see that because we're getting later in the year. He hadn't pitched in a little while because of his little arm soreness. The hitting has, he's slowed down. Not as many bombs happening. It's late in the year. This guy's done a lot. Let's give him some slack. Let's cut him a break. Then he goes out on the mound and he throws 8 innings, 108 pitches, and quiets a lot of the doubters saying, you know what, this has been a long season. What an awesome season, but, I get it. Nope. Goes out, 8 innings, dominates against the A's. I was worried he was going to get the loss, but he didn't. The team comes back, scores some runs. He gets the no decision on the day. And one thing I found interesting was his post-game interview, where he talked about just how much and how important pitching is to him. He said, I want to be pitching next year and beyond. So this whole experience from this year is going to help me down the road, which was cool to hear. But this next part was important, I thought. It's been hard to keep the motivation up being out of the playoff race like this, which coming from Shohei is a powerful statement. And it's true. We all see it. Games don't mean anything for them. They're not playing for anything. He doesn't have Mike Trout out there. The team's a shell of what we thought they were going to be. They're under 500. They're not playing good baseball. It matters, guys. I promise you. Take it from me. I was in a clubhouse for 5 years professionally. When you're not playing good baseball, it is hard to stay motivated. It is hard to go out there and do your best because where things become better for you and where you can perform your best is when you're going out competing. Not when you're thinking about everything that you're personally doing, when you're competing and you're trying above all else to win games for your team. So they're not in the playoff race, and he admitted it's been tough to stay motivated. But what a dominant outing on the mound. But let's talk a little bit about his hitting. And it's no secret, he hasn't been hitting as many home runs as he was. In the first half, to start the second half, we've seen his home run lead get smaller and smaller, and then we've seen him overtaken by Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Salvador Perez. What's going on? What's happening? Well, a few things, in my opinion. One, the guy doesn't see any strikes. And I mean, none. The lowest strike percentage in baseball. He just doesn't get many strikes when he's at the plate. So then, you move on to that. He's not getting many strikes. He keeps walking. I was watching his game the other day. He was 0 for 0 with 2 walks in like the 7th inning. They were intentionally walking him. He has no help around him. I can't stress how important that is. You guys may think, oh, well, everybody else, it's not a big deal for other players. Salvador Perez, who's not on a good team, has Andrew Benintendi behind him. And you may be saying that's not a big name. The guy's hitting almost 280 this year with a bunch of homers. He's having a good year. He's good protection for Salvador Perez. Okay? So he has protection. And then you want to talk about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It doesn't matter who's around him. His whole lineup is stacked. You got Marcus Semien. You got Bo Bichette. You got a bunch of guys that are capable of hitting the ball out of the yard. A bunch of guys that are having fantastic years. Marcus Semien is arguably having an MVP year. The guy's going to be in the top 5 easy of the MVP conversation. So you want to talk about protection. You got it with them. Shohei Ohtani is the one guy in that lineup that you can't let beat you. And teams aren't. They're not letting him win. They're not letting him beat them. And it becomes tougher and tougher. He knows he's the guy in that lineup. He knows he's getting pitched tough. So his thing is, 1, he's not getting strikes, and 2, he's struggling. He is chasing more pitches. He's not seeing many strikes, and he's chasing them. He's pressing. He wants to do well. He wants to hit homers. He swings at those balls because he's not getting strikes to swing at. Take a look at a tweet I saw this past week. Shohei Ohtani has 128 hits this season. Most by a player with at least 20 games pitched since Dave Fouts had 156 base hits for the, get this, the Brooklyn Bridge Grooms of the American Association in 1888. So yeah, he's struggling a little bit at the plate. He's not getting many pitches. He's walking a lot. He's swinging at some balls. He's pressing. But when I say this MVP race is locked up, it's for everything that has happened this year. It's for the start he had on the mound earlier this week that I talked about. It's for the 40-plus bombs he has on the year that have never happened before from a pitcher, ever. Stats like this. The Bridge Grooms, the Brooklyn Bridge Grooms. You all know them, right? No. The Bridegrooms. Exactly. We don't know who they are. It's the Bridegrooms. He hasn't done it. This hasn't been done since 1888. I mean, that's why, everyone. That's why he's the MVP. So yeah, it's slowed down on the offensive side. The bombs have slowed down. He's just getting walked. I hate seeing it. I called it right after the All-Star break when he started getting walked and walked and walked. And then it was realized Mike Trout's not going to come back. There's no protection. This guy's going to get walked all year long. And he has been. But make no mistake about it. He's the MVP. Specifically because of stats like this. Dave Fouts. The Bridegrooms. 1888. That's the last person that did what Shohei Ohtani's doing. I mean, come on. I get the argument. Yeah, Vlad could win the Triple Crown. The last Triple Crown in Major League Baseball was in 2012. This has never been done. Let's talk about the pitching. 8 innings. We just forget when we look at, we like to just compare the offensive seasons. We forget what's going on the pitching side, and it's absolutely incredible. He has transformed the game of baseball. He has changed the game of baseball for the better. He has done so much for the sport, and he has done so much to bring a different culture to baseball. He's done so much for the world, which leads me to this honor that he was given last week. And when I say honor, I truly mean an honor. Shohei Ohtani was named the Time 100, one of the 100 most influential people in the world. This past week. He's on the list with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. He's on a list with Britney Spears, with Naomi Osaka. With Tom Brady's on this list. But there's no baseball players. It's just him. Because what he's doing is so special. I've been talking about it all year, but people like to compare offensive numbers. No. This is way bigger than that. This is way more important than that. He is doing so much for the game of baseball. He is doing things that have never been done before. He's having a great offensive year. He's having a great year pitching. He's having a great year in more ways than one. And being named one of the Time 100 most influential people in the world for 2021 is just one of the many, many titles he's going to rack up this year. And this one is really cool. And this one is very, very special. And just one of the reasons that he is hands down the MVP, despite not hitting as many homers, despite not getting on base as much, despite getting a ton of walks, despite pitching great. This is why. All of these reasons combined is why Shohei Ohtani is the MVP. And that does it for this week in Shohei Ohtani news. Let's get into the Twitter poll that has a little bit to do with Shohei Ohtani. We asked you guys at Flippin' Bats Pod on Twitter this week. So if you do not follow at Flippin' Bats Pod, please do it. You can be involved in the poll that we talk about on the show, and you can be involved in this show. This week's question, who's going to finish the season with the most home runs? Who's it going to be? We gave you 3 options: Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Salvador Perez, Shohei Ohtani. I guess there were 4 options. Someone else. It's not going to be someone else. That's why you guys gave it 2.3%. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. won the poll with 47.2. Shohei Ohtani came in second with 40.1, and Salvador Perez with 10.4. Look, for Shohei to win this, it's going to be miraculous. He's just not getting pitched to. That's a huge reason for it. But I don't want to diminish what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is doing by any means. We need to talk about it, and I totally agree that he's going to finish this season with the most home runs. It is special what this guy is doing at 22 years old. He got me to thinking, like, this was something I was thinking about the other day, just sitting there watching the game. Do we think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to have a better career than his dad? Maybe that can be a future question. So follow Flippin' Bats Pod on Twitter. Thanks for watching. If you love Flippin' Bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.